Welcome to the channel. This is Oblivion and we're here with the new Mythic banner. Now, unfortunately, we kind of already know who this is, right? It's going to be Nerthuz. Maybe we get two Mythics like we did with Immortus and Goto, but I kind of doubt it. So let's go ahead and just jump in, see her full kit, and kind of get a feeling of what she can really do. What? No way, it's Nerthuz? Who would have guessed? Freya 2, speed. Okay, that's cool. That's a good stat to give. Okay, let's jump in and start off with her preference weapon, Horn of the Land. Okay, so overall, what does this weapon have? It has Slaying, and then it has up to plus 13 to all stats, which is pretty nice, and then Special Acceleration, full null follow-up, which is pretty nice for a cav, and then we have this Beast Transformation. Overall, this weapon looks good, but not like anything insane, right? It looks like you're pretty much what you would be going for on a GALEFORCE unit, right? She has the Special Acceleration she needs, she has the Slaying, and she can even have some NFU, so she can't get her doubles blocked. Not bad. Okay, so Fruit of Life is actually pretty interesting, right? So essentially we get some free stats, right? We get speed and defense -5, we get 40% damage reduction, and then that damage that is reduced gets added to her next attack. So very similar to Atri, pretty much almost exactly the same, right? And then if she is solo or she only has one ally next to her, she will actually get tempo. And this is actually pretty cool because this is something you definitely need for GALEFORCE, right? Running into guard is like very, very frequent in Ether raids, so being able to get around that is really, really nice. And the fact that there actually is a condition where you can have one ally next to you also helps because you will have someone like Wings Immersing in sometimes with GALEFORCE, so that's actually not bad. And then lastly, we do have a gravity effect, and this is essentially like Glare from Nyla. So they essentially like kind of took like Nyla's GALEFORCing strats and then made it into a Mythic, which is pretty cool because I think that's kind of underestimated. Nyla GALEFORCE is really, really powerful when used correctly, but it just takes a lot of thinking. So I think a lot of people don't really do it, right? I haven't seen it very much, and I've only done it a few times myself. So it's cool to see this on a Mythic. Okay, let's check out the last thing, Alarm Attack Speed. So Alarm Attack Speed essentially has a buff up, right? But you can only have so many allies adjacent to you. So typically, the most you can have is 4. So you can only have 2 allies adjacent to you, which is pretty easy. Typically, you won't have more than 2, I think, unless you're like a save unit and you're like in the middle of the group, kind of. And then you also get Canto 1, and then also you can get an in-combat bonus of attack and speed +3 if there's only one ally adjacent to you. I think this is decent. It's not bad. I'm not sure exactly where this would be used. I think it could be used though for sure. Like maybe if you're trying to stat stack and you want Kanto as well, then this could be a good option. I feel like Oath might be better. I don't know. I think this is pretty comparable to Oath actually, which is pretty nice. I'm not sure who would actually want this though. I'd have to think about it some more. But Kanto 1 is really powerful. I think it does get underestimated a ton. We've seen this with like Flame Tana, right? Just being able to give everyone Kanto 1 just makes your whole team way more mobile, especially in the game of like Summoner Duels where you can really like flex your like opening really, really strong and really get powerful positioning in the map. Now when it comes to her roles, obviously I think Nerthuz is just a GALEFORCE unit, 100%. Now obviously she could go for like big specials like Ignis or like Dragon Fang or something like that and like try to nuke, but I think that's just not what she's really going for, right? Like she can do it, but her main role obviously is GALEFORCing. This unit is just built to GALEFORCE, 100%. And I'm sure she'll be very good at it. They essentially like took Freya and like, hey, people use her as a GALEFORCer because she's good at nothing. And they're like, let's just make a Mythic based off of that. And it works. I mean, it's cool. So her main role will be GALEFORcing, obviously. Now, when it comes to game modes, I think she's only really going to be used in Ether Raid's offense. I can't see her being used really anywhere else. Definitely not like on Ether Raid's defense in Chaos Season, and probably not in Summoner Duels either. I just don't see a way which she'll really be used there as well. Now, when it comes to how good she'll be as a GALEFORcer, I think she'll be pretty good, but I don't think she's going to be like the best GALEFORcer in the world. And the reason for that is that it's all about consistency, right? Now, she does have all the things you really need to be consistent, right? She has tempo, she has special acceleration, and she even has no follow-up, which is really nice. But the thing is, as like a cav unit, you can't really get your GALEFORce down as far as an infantry unit can. Now, if you really want to stack it, you can, right? If you have like Ride Raphael and Asker, then you can get your GALEFORce down to 2. But it's not going to be the easiest thing. It is possible, though. The other thing about consistency, of course, is like getting into Wings of Mercy range. You have to make sure that happens. If you're trying to do GALEFORce, it's like one of the most important things. And typically, you'll see this done either through like chip damage, like by Theory, or like by using like HP manipulation units like Winter Bernadetta, Spring Bernadetta, or even Brave Light Cynthia. So typically, that's just way more consistent. So I'm kind of nervous about this for Nerthuz. She does have damage reduction, which like lets her go in, right? Because essentially what the thing is like as a Mythic, she won't get Mythic buffs unless on her bonus season. So she should be able to go in, pick a fight, survive because of the damage reduction to Fruit of Life, and then also kill something. And then hopefully she's in Wings of Mercy range. But even then, I just don't relying on combat damage to get into Wings of Mercy range. because sometimes it just doesn't work, right? Sometimes you run into a ranged unit and they just can't counterattack you, and then you kill them, and you're like, okay, I popped GALEFORCE. Now I really have to find somebody else to smack into, and maybe they just don't do enough damage, right? So I think she'll be good, but I don't think she's going to be amazing in my opinion. Definitely not like a must-pull like Mythic by any means. Okay, let's start off with the rest of the banner by going over blue. So in blue, sharing with Nerthuz, we do have Legendary Shez and Legendary Deirdre. And both of these units are amazingly powerful nukes. They're really, really strong. I love them a ton. I think they're both unique in different ways, right? Deirdre has that protection of Miracle, which is really nice. And then Shez also really just nukes everything. She has effective damage, she gets pretty much everything. Though she can struggle with speed if you like go for some like unique builds. And she can also struggle to like get lethalities off or something like that. So she is very good though. They're both very top tier nukes, very, very powerful, very good units. So I think blue is actually an amazing share, great place to pull. But now let's go to the other colors. So over in red is decent. It's not bad, but it's just like not the best either. And the reason for that is because you do have units who don't necessarily need mergers, right? You have Ascended Tiki, who is a very powerful frontline unit and has some decent fodder for like dragons like her. But overall, like it's not a unit you're gonna want to merge up for sure, right? Like she doesn't add intrinsic value to your account like a Mythic would, or like even a Legendary. So if you're a big Tiki fan or you need merges, that's great. But if not, it doesn't really help you much. Now when it comes to the two Mythic dancers, right, you have Plumeria and Mirabilis, and they're both amazing Mythics. So if you don't have Plumeria or Mirabilis, this is a great place to pull, right? Because you can get a copy of each of them, and they're gonna help you out on Aether's offense and defense. But if you already have them, pulling here kind of sucks because only Plumeria really gets value out of merges. So like getting a ton of Mirabilis doesn't help you all that much, and like getting Tikis doesn't necessarily help you all that much as well. So you're kind of like just hoping to get Plumeria, and you might not. So red's good, but not like amazing, not great. Let's move over to green. So we have green, we have Ganglot, who is phenomenal. This is a great pull here. Obviously, anytime we can get a rearmed unit, it's going to be really, really good because you get the Arcane Weapon, in this form, the Arcane Axe, right? You also get access to Quick Riposte 4 fodder, which is a pretty powerful skill. But most importantly, in my opinion, you get skill duplication. And being able to get an infantry rearmed hero in particular and duplicate that fodder is really, really good because you can duplicate things like Godlike Reflexes, Vital Astra, Speed Smoke 4, Attack Speed Finish, right? Like there's just so many good skills you can duplicate on an infantry unit. I think there's a ton of value in Ganglot. But when it comes to the other two units, right, Byleth is still a very powerful nuke. He's very solid, but he's not like top tier anymore. He's kind of showing his age a bit. He is a very good unit, and if you need merges from him, like maybe you got a ton of copies on the last The Hero Rises, and this is a good place to finish it. But honestly, like it's not like the unit you're like definitely going for, right? And then the other unit is Triandra, who is a defense dark dancer, which is good, right? Like getting one copy is good, but once again, you don't need merges just like Mirabilis. And then lastly, we have Colorless, and Colorless is pretty good, but not amazing in my opinion, right? You have Ashe, who everyone got for free to play. She's still a very powerful light mythic, very good in a ton of different strategies, from hit and run to GALEFORCE, just a fantastic mythic. Then we have Arvel, who is a meta anima defense mythic, very, very powerful. They can just put in a ton of damage. They also have that great support through the guard like debuff area, which is really nice. And they're very meta in SD, mostly SDS, but they're very good. And then lastly, we have Claude, and I love Claude. He's a great character, and he's a really good legendary too, or he was. But he definitely needs a remix nowadays. He just needs some help. He just doesn't do as much damage as he used to, though he can be difficult to kill and be a bit annoying. It's just going to be a bit longer until he can really become as good as he once was. Okay, let's move on to the final question. Should you pull? And in my opinion, I honestly think this banner is kind of a skip. Blue is a very nice place to summon, so if you are looking for like Deirdre or Shez merges, you're going to get a lot of value there. You're going to get 2 legendaries merges and a mythic merge as well, so that's really nice. But then the other colors just aren't that great in my opinion, right? If you have no mythics, then maybe red could be pretty good, and like maybe like colorless as well. But it's just nothing like super standout or crazy where I feel like you need to pull on this banner. Especially because we have so much other stuff coming up as well, right? We have the Fallen banner possibly coming up. Maybe an Engage banner. That feels like copium every time I say it now. I feel like this is an easy mythic banner to just skip if you aren't like really interested in much here. But if you do have Fey Pass, then maybe you come in here for a Spark and just pick up the one unit you want and then get out of there. Personally, I'll probably just be doing that, just grabbing the Spark and then leaving. But now I'd love to hear from you. What do you think of this mythic banner, and what do you think of Mythic Nerthuz? Are you going to be pulling for her, and are you going to try to merge her up? Maybe you're like a GALEFORCE enthusiast, and this is just the mythic you've been waiting for. Either way, I'd love to hear from you, so make sure to drop a comment down below. And once again, I'd love to thank all my members for all their support, and if you enjoyed the video, like and subscribe. This has been Oblivion. Catch you all later.